All right, well, now to something that has families and businesses hurting right across the country. That's high gas prices. The latest data from the Australian Bureau of Statistics shows that gas prices rose by a whopping 26.2% over the last year, the largest price rise on record. And I must make clear, the high prices are hurting everyone because high gas prices means higher inflation, which of course means higher interest rates. But gas is also the key feedstock for the production of fertiliser for our farmers. It's vital for the paper, glass, bricks, steel, iron and much more on which we all depend. So what is the Albanese government, the mob that campaigned at the last election on standing up to big gas and reducing your bills by $275 a year, doing about it? Well, not a lot, given their new gas price cap has so many exemptions tied to it that it may impact less than 7% of gas that's sold on the East Coast. This means that the policy may have no effect on reining in prices. Meanwhile, Labor's umming and ahhing over the policy and the uncertainty it's created has scared off investors, with both the Japanese and the Koreans, two of our most important trading partners and investors, saying Australia is no longer a trusted supplier of gas because we're no longer reliable. Joining me to discuss this mess is the Australian's Environment Editor, Graham Lloyd. Graham, welcome to the show tonight. Labor finally released all of the details of the gas policy. I guess the bottom line here is, will it lower gas prices?
Well, good evening, Amanda. Certainly after an extended period of sort of fighting and carry on, the final details have been released. They're probably not as restrictive as the companies were fearing. The question is, will they do anything about prices? Now, on balance, you would say this is directed at uncontracted gas from Gladstone. And trying to ensure that supplies of gas are made available into the market with a cap at $12. Now, that $12 is a reasonably high figure for gas. It's unlikely that this policy will change what would have happened in any other case. But the story is really much bigger. If you look at, say, the United States, their gas price on the Henry Hub today was $2.15, and they are able to attract manufacturing and keep their economy going because of that differential. Australia has high prices because we don't have the supply that exceeds the export capacity to keep them low, and that's really where we need to head.
And yet we have huge natural reserves. Graham, West Australia has very low gas prices because it's got a gas reservation scheme that's unlike the rest of the country. Can you explain what this scheme is and why the East Coast states haven't followed Perth's lead?
Well, the West Australian scheme was put in place before the gas fields were developed on the Northwest Shelf. And it basically said a percentage of those reserves had to be kept and supplied to the domestic market. So if you like, that acted in the same way of putting a surplus of gas to the domestic market that couldn't get the parity with international prices, so it was sold at a more reasonable level. And on the East Coast, unfortunately, the gas reserves were put into production without this mechanism being put in place there, and it's very difficult to impose these things after the fact for all sorts of issues that we're seeing with the carry-on about a price cap.
Graham, Victoria's got huge untapped onshore gas fields that don't require fracking. New South Wales's Narrabri gas project has been held up yet again, and production should finally start to be underway in the Northern Territory's Beetaloo gas field by late next year. We've clearly got more than enough supply available to us, but what's the hold up to getting this stuff to consumers?
Well, there's really been an ideological gridlock on the development of gas supplies, particularly in Narrabri and absolutely in Victoria. We're really relying overwhelmingly on supplies from Queensland. Victorian production wells are running dry, and there's been no government appetite to really push things along and get new areas into production, and that is the core of the problem.
There's a direct relationship between those hard left green policies and the high power bills people are experiencing right now. Graham, Lloyd, thank you so much for your time tonight.